welcome back to another
Good morning.
Monday morning.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Right?
Year, everybody. It is a whole nother year. It felt like it took forever for us to get back. It was 2023 when we saw you guys last, and I'm like, man, it's 2024. Can you believe it?
Baby.
Sorry,
Because 2020 to 23, I feel like was a whole year.
No, to be honest, 2020
Yeah,
to
we started over in
2023 felt
24.
like one.
This
Felt
is
like
a
1
restart.
year.
This is
But
our
just
COVID
think,
year.
next week is like Martin Luther King Day. Like,
Right. And a major service day, by the way, the 95th. I love Dr. King. 95th anniversary. I'm not going to cry, Dr. King. 95th birthday of Dr. King, y'all. And there's some amazing things happening. So shout out to Dr. King. Look, we talking about Dr. King holiday already. Major impact to start off the year. You guys look beautiful today, though. Happy
you
Monday.
too.
Happy Monday.
Happy
It's so
Monday.
good to see Dr. Dani. I feel like she's been gone much longer. And again,
Hey,
because it's your birthday all month long. Happy belated
Happy birthday to
Yeah,
Dr.
honey.
Danny. Y'all, please go to the comments right now. Wish Dr. Danny happy birthday. We were not on the air for her birthday, but we are super excited to be back and celebrating her birthday with you guys right now. So please wish Dr. Danny happy birthday on today. Even
And
though
all
it's
month long.
not today. It's already gone. But
It's
we're
all
wishing
month.
her happy birthday.
all month.
Yes. On today, but welcome back, guys. Listen, I'm not going to be long. I'm going to go ahead and get us right into today's conversation because we got to start us off with Jay's Corner. Now, listen, everybody, we are excited to be back. Biggest thing that I have to talk about today, again, welcome everybody. Happy New Year. Excited to be back. Make sure you like and share this out to people. We have a phenomenal conversation today that is lined up and some surprises. So I hope that you guys tune in, get some people connected. Brother Kenneth, who gonna win? I'm gonna win. I'm with you, brother.
I know
hope
it.
that you and your family are winning on today and this week, y'all. It's a great start to the week. For Jay's Corner, I gotta highlight this. I'm really excited that Atlanta is trending in the news for something positive. Thank God, because we have had a rocky start to the year in local and also national news. So every time I talk to family members or people that I know outside of Atlanta or the state of Georgia, they're always like, it is always something happening in Atlanta. Like, we got to throw some, just fly over Georgia and just drop holy oil off the plane. Just throw it down. Just throw it down on y'all. But super excited in the news all weekend and on today. Brother Shivy Brooks will be sworn in to the Atlanta Board of Education. And it is exciting just to witness this happen, y'all. Like, this is exciting, phenomenal, and it's a win. I love how people across the city are excited about this, and to be quite honest, it makes sense. Why don't we have anyone who has been on the school board or who's on the school board that has not taught in the classroom within the last 5 to 10 years? And teaching in the pandemic was a whole different thing. So I transitioned out of the classroom last year. And I'm sitting up here like, wow, there are people really making decisions about what children need, what parents and families desire, and they haven't been in the classroom or they haven't led a school. You ain't even been in the classroom. You haven't even led a school. You don't even know how to. Anyway, thankfully, we have an active teacher, someone who is practicing the actual profession who is on the school board. That is a major win for Atlanta and all of us. So definitely wanted to highlight that for Jay's Corner. And I have to ask, we're kind of pretty quiet in the comments on this morning. People just waking up. They're tuned in, but still waking up in the comments. Definitely want to drop in the comments, what book are you reading for the new year? Yes, that's the question for Jay's Corner to close us out. So Jay's Corner's question: what book are you starting off reading for the new year? And I know that you may be reading the Bible, the Quran, the Book of Mormon, all these different testaments. I have all my spiritual books on my side of me now. So whatever you may be reading, let us know in the comment section. And while we're talking about reading something very positive, Dr. Dani, I want to pass the mic over to you because I believe that the people may need some morning affirmation to wake them up on this morning.
I need some affirmation myself. Okay. Good morning. But here we go, y'all. Yes. Come on, slide. I am confident that every problem has a solution. Every solution is not my problem to find. Every problem is not for me to solve. Know your position and be open to letting go today. That is the affirmation.
I feel like we want to start singing Frozen. Let it go.
Let it go, honey. Let it go.
Get all the children up right now to sing that. They're probably already up. Well, you know what? Actually,
and the children should be in their seats. Several
they
of
should
them.
be in school. I don't know.
Many of them are
out
either in their seat or on the bus. Okay, come on, somebody.
Hopefully they're wrapped up. Not in swaddling clothes, but just wrapped up because it is cold outside. And I have to make that statement because I know people are from all over. So some kids got on shorts. The seasons are mixed up, but let's make sure the kids are wrapped
and
up.
hopefully their mama's not trying to put them in an Uber without a car seat. That was on Instagram this weekend. Because girl, get up early enough to get it together.
I mean, and listen, Uber drivers with children, if they don't have a car seat, you got to put them in the seat belt and just get some duct tape and just put three things.
No, you have to be in a car seat.
I know you have to be in a car seat.
You can't be sending your child to school by themselves when they like 5 and 6 because you late. Come on, let's get it together. Yes. All the aunts and uncles, let's get some of these younger parents together, honey, and some of us older ones too.
Yeah, okay. Some of the older ones too. Now, get this.
Y'all
do the right thing.
A little early.
I'm sorry.
Yes, but listen, Dr. Dani, thank you for the morning affirmation. God, we're excited.
I just let it go. It ain't all your problem to solve.
We got to help parents win because this is the I Win Morning Show, and in the morning we starting off the week right, making sure that the parents are winning. So please, Uber drivers, don't do the tape thing. You don't want to scare the kids. Don't tape them in, but they do need to have the proper care when they're in the cars traveling. Safety is first, guys. Seriously, in all seriousness, safety is first. Dr. Dani, we love the red curls too. I think it's giving a little purple feel, but we are super, super excited about the morning affirmation. Run it back for us one more time, and then we're going to go right into the tea for this morning.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I am confident that every problem has a solution. Every solution is not my problem to find. Every problem is not for me to solve. Know your position and be open to letting it go today.
Love that, Dr. Dani. Thank you so much for the affirmation, y'all. Listen, if you enjoyed that, let us know in the comments. Also, share this out with people so that we can make sure that we're spreading the wealth of knowledge to them on this morning. Listen, y'all know what time it is. We got to bring the tea with Tonya, because guess what? It's been a lot of drama happening in these streets, y'all. So, Tonya, we're going to go ahead and kick it over to you with the tea.
And yet there is still so much drama in the LBC. Okay, now, good morning and Happy New Year. Listen, Jason took a little bit of my tea, which if you have even been anywhere near your television watching the news, it is tea, baby. It's a boiling pot. I hadn't watched the news in a couple of days because it had been very troubling, but I was watching on yesterday, and she said, and now Atlanta is making history with the first active teacher. I said, yes, come on, Shivy. So I was so excited to hear that. And I was going to highlight that on the tea today, that Alfred Shivy Brooks will be sworn in. His inauguration is this morning in Atlanta. If you plan on getting there, honey, being in attendance, I suggest you do so promptly. It is at 10 o'clock a.m. Now, keeping in the track of educational news, I don't know if you guys know that FAFSA dropped a little bomb on us about a week ago. Some great news, especially for African American and African American students and students of color, that they are taking that dissertation down from 108 questions, I think, to about 46 questions. And then there are some ways that they're allowing students to be able to report. It's not as strenuous because we know that in, like many systems in America, it was not equal, separate and unequal. We still are. So I was happy to see that. Ooh, excuse me, I had a little bit too much tea. Now, something, I try to mix it a little bit with the positive, and I don't know if it was positive or not, but baby, Cat Williams got the community in a chokehold with this Shannon Sharp podcast. I don't know what it was, spillage, tea, overshare. You all can put in your comments what you think. But for me, I like Cat Williams, and I like many of the comedians that he talked about. But what I feel like we need to stop doing in 24, what I want to leave in 23, is Black folks getting on national platforms, wearing out other Black folks unnecessarily. Because some of those things we could have died and never known. And that's all I'm going to say about that. So in the, you did see that I did a little praise dance to Dr. Dani's affirmations. And in the spirit of the aforementioned affirmations, I'm going to let that go. And that's been your Tea with Tonya. Hope to see you later on today at the swearing in of Alfred Shibby Brooks.
Whoop, there it is. Yes.
You did that.
Yes, whoop, there it is, y'all. Listen, you made lead it. Oh, God have mercy. The affirmation and the tea, if it ain't blessed nobody else, it's blessed me. I see so many people, especially because social media is like a journal. It reminds me of Brandy's sitcom, Moesha. From the end of the 90s, and the music would come on, and it's coming on, and it's like, okay, she's gonna sit down and she has her journal, then boom, here's her affirmation, here's her tea, here's her Jay's Corner, here's everything. You just get everything. And I feel like people put so much out on social media, and I get, sharing how you feel, and I get all of that. I just think that sometimes we give so much, and it can be detrimental to others in our way of sharing. And so just be mindful of that, y'all, in 2024. We don't have to know everything.
They stuck there.
The comments are taking me out over here.
Wait until we get into the topic for today. My God.
No, we all have to. Don't give us everything, y'all. Please, just give us an appetizer. Give people y'all got to tease the people.
Let me wonder about something, honey.
Right? Just wonder. God is a wonder to my soul. I don't know. Just anyway. Y'all, we are excited about our conversation today. If you have not noticed, first of all, our flyer kind of gave it away because the color purple is so royal and it's so beautiful in our flyer. So on today, y'all, we're talking about the color purple. Another hot topic in the Black community. So many things that we can talk about with the color purple. So much to unpack. So we're going to hear from this amazing iWin team, but I'm going to pass the mic to Dr. Dani because we have a little something special for y'all this morning. So, Dr. Dani, go ahead.
Yes. So today we have a special guest who's a special friend of mine. We go way back. And way back. Yes. Talk about tea. We got tea on each other, honey. But back in the Hofstra days, we have somebody named Rondell Westcott, who is a brother, a friend, and a producer, has worked in the industry for years in multiple capacities, and has passionately watched The Color Purple. I believe I'll let him talk more about what he's seen. He's seen the new one a couple times. He's seen the old one a few times. And I believe he saw what was on Broadway. But please give it up for my brother who is here to give some comments and some thoughts on The Color Purple and production. Ronnie!
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Good morning.
Yes.
It's great to have you, brother.
Happy to have you.
Thank you. Sending y'all greetings from Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn.
Good. Brooklyn.
Yes. And shout out to Maritza in the comments. I'm from Philly. I saw Maritza said she was checking in from Philly.
Yeah,
I can
Maritza.
tell by that comment. All right, BK in the house and Philly.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm North Philadelphia, 32nd and Allegheny. Yes.
North Philadelphia,
Awesome.
born and raised.
North Philly.
All
Okay.
right.
Yeah, Marissa, that's my sister, y'all. I love Marissa. She has a show on Wednesday. Parents, y'all get connected wherever you are. Connect to what she's doing. Some phenomenal work. And shout out to all of our regular viewers, those who are connected in. This morning, we're talking about the color purple. I tried to put on some shades of purple this morning. Praise the Lord. I really tried, y'all. But we are excited now. Dr. Dani kind of teased us a little bit because we know that there was a film adaptation that just came out for Christmas. If you haven't seen it, y'all check it out. But we also know that in the 80s, it was a film, right, that was called The Color Purple. Those in the last 10, 15 years may have been able to connect to the Broadway musical, which was phenomenal. But the ELA, English Language Arts teacher in me, has to help some people realize that this is also originally a book by Alice Walker, which is phenomenal. I'm looking at my book right here on my beautiful library in front of me. But you guys won't see it today only because I'm not getting up to get it. But it's a book. So I wanted to kind of open us up with that, just a little bit of context around The Color Purple and where it derived from and how we are to the conversation around masculinity in the recent film and just the conversation around toxic masculinity, which seems to be a really huge thing for people. So I'm glad to have our guest on to hear from him and just kind of get right into it. So let's go.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Have all of us seen the film?
Yeah,
this adaptation?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I think I was the last one to see it, but yes. Okay.
Now, and I will say thank you, Dr. Dani, and thank you for the invite. Glad to be here. But yes, as you said, I've seen the reimagination, as Oprah calls it. Like she said, this is not your mama's Color Purple. This is a reimagining, right? So it's not a remake. So I think people may have gone into it expecting it to be an updated, modern version of what was done by Steven Spielberg back in the 80s, but this is not. And I will say that I did see the Broadway musical at least 2 times. I saw it once with Fantasia when she was starring in it, and then LaChance when she was the original Celie, who she won the Tonya Award for it. So I was kind of aware of the musical story or the musical adaptation from the original film, right? So some of the songs that are now in this new version are derived or picked up from the Broadway version. So for me, it wasn't a total shock because I've already kind of seen it in its, iterations as it kind of grew and evolved. But I do know, like I saw it, first time I saw it with a couple of coworkers. We had like an advanced screening a week or so before it came out. So some of the coworkers, we all enjoyed it. But then on Christmas Day, I saw it with my family. I saw it with my sister-in-law, who saw the original and loved it. And then with my 16-year-old niece. And neither of them liked it. They both had seen the original. But I think, again, people went into it expecting it to be just an updated version. And I think you kind of have to like musicals as well, right? Like if you don't like, what was the show? I forgot. It was a Fox show with Amber Riley. Like that was a musical kind of a, if you guys know that show with that.
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
Glee. Yeah. So like, if you don't like Glee, or they did like Mamma Mia, and they just redid the other musical that was the original Rita Moreno. They just redid that musical. But so if you don't like
Rent is an old one too.
Yeah. I mean, Dreamgirls. If someone made a list of all of the various musicals over the last 20 to 30 years that people are in love with, and I don't really think kind of equate to the fact that these are musical. Marissa put in the comments West Side Story. So I'm confused. I want to ask you guys this and hear from Rondell his perspective on this. Culturally, looking at our cultures of African culture, African American, Black, Afro, Latina, whatever. All of our cultures are immersed in music, in art, and so I'm curious about why people are having such a fit about a musical or music that is intertwined into a film adaptation, because that's what they promoted it as. I'm just curious about why this is a real huge hot topic when music and art is a part of our everyday culture, it's a part of our everyday lives. So I just wanted to get you all's thought.
Can I put in my 2 cents real quick? Oh, go ahead, Tonya. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead, Dani.
Now, because see, this is where I'm getting a little frustrated, right? Because I'm thinking Oprah's got all this power. And Rondell, you brought up a really good point, which I had no idea she's talking about is reimagined. Why not put that in the title? Like The Color Purple, reimagined, or just call it purple. So we're not comparing the two, because essentially the title really does give this expectation that this is the remake of the original. Yeah. And I'm looking at it like, okay, well, it should follow what the original was. That's just, I mean, as much power as she has, as much creativity as she has, like maybe that is the strategy. It was, let's come up with some controversy, because people are going to go in there pissed off that they're not seeing the original Color Purple. So maybe that was the motivation, but I don't understand why it wasn't in the title.
Yeah, no, I mean, I will say that it was in a lot of her press tour, right? They did heavy press for this film.
Yes.
Those who watch TV, I know everybody now doesn't have traditional TV, right? So but if you watch Good Morning America, Today Show, CBS This Morning, she was on some of the night shows with Jimmy Kimmel, with Jimmy Fallon, Stephen Colbert.
Heavy press.
No, the cast was everywhere, right? Online and on TV and on Instagram and everywhere promoting. So I think they alluded to a lot of it in a lot of the press tours that it was reimagined. Even Fantasia, she talked about it was a musical. But I think people either didn't see a lot of the press or just assumed it would be the same as the original film and didn't pay attention to the press, right? You kind of feel like, okay, it's going to be the same. I love the original. I'm going to go again. And about the story, I don't think the story changed much, right? It's still based on a book by Alice Walker. Right. That's the thing too. I know, like in the media, people have been coming out, and I think the biggest controversial scene for those who haven't seen the original or read the book or seen the new one, there is a lesbian kiss, right, between Celie and Suge Avery, which was in the original, it was in the book, and it's in this new one. And it was just like lips touching, right? It wasn't a whole hot and heavy scene. But a lot of people have been offended by that, and a lot of stuff online from even celebrities and just everyday people. Oh, I had my kids in the theater. I didn't expect to see two women kissing, and I was offended. I got up, I walked out, I was uncomfortable. So, like, again, it's like, but that stuff, and I think, the original Celie and Suge, their kiss, I think, was more passionate back in the Steven Spielberg film than it is in this new one now. So either, again, that was 30, 40 years ago. People could have forgotten about that. But I think the controversy is kind of the same, right? Back in the day, the NAACP was protesting the old film because they thought, I think Danielle alluded to, like, some of the stereotypes, like, the black male, like, you had a stepfather molesting, raping, her daughter, and had a kid with his, stepdaughter. And a lot of the poverty scenes, right? They were like a poor family, in rural Georgia. So like a lot of the things that are still in this film here were part of the original film script and the original book. So, whatever themes people are offended by or saying, have gone too far, or we're still perpetuating a stereotype. It's like, this is based on the book that was written years ago. And the story was set in 1909, Georgia is when it started. So if you think back to those times, those were some of the themes that were going on in that time in the world, and they just kind of kept it going. So they didn't change the script too much. They stuck to the script. Right. But I think, where over 100 years later, from like 1909, whatever, and I think people just are uncomfortable.
I also think that people don't read. People don't read. We are in a quick information age with all the social media, because they did do a heavy press tour. And if I'm going to go see something that has been done before, if I don't know anything about it, I'm going to try to find a book to read what was done before, but that's just me. So I think for the age group, a lot of the age group that are saying it now, which are more prominent and more vocal, which are millennials, it is a bit, it was a tad bit shocking because they really did not understand that this was a musical. I think that maybe it could have been put in the name more, but I don't know if I remember seeing that it was a musical. I just knew because I am an avid, I watch all Good Morning America, all of them, Jimmy Kimmel. So I was able to see, and it made me excited to be able to see this particular cast. Because I thought one of the things that impressed me was how well rounded the cast selection was, from millennials to older actors, from actresses to singers to folks you didn't even know could sing. And I loved the story of community in it, where, and forgive me, I cannot think of the young man that played Harpo, was selected to read for something different. What is his name, Rondell? Courtney?
Corey Brooks.
Corey. So Corey and Danielle Brooks had gone to Juilliard together, and when he was selected to read for his part, I think originally he was going to do Mr. and then he got cast as Harpo. But he said, I'll only do Harpo if Danielle Brooks can play the part that she's going to play, right? And I loved that, the caption on that particular Instagram post was, make sure that you have folks that speak your name in rooms that you are not in. And it showed community. And then if you go to some of the stories, we look at how it was made and when it was made, just that vast community of Black actors coming together. Yeah, the story is going to be controversial, but so has our sojourn in the Americas been controversial. And what I want to say is that I started watching the Golden Globes last night. Quickly turned it off. Golden Globes, so like per usual. Bass Reeves, I don't know if I didn't stay to the end and see if he got anything. I thought that was a great storytelling by David Oyelowo. And what came to my mind was, I think sometimes I've seen these in the comments of my age group. We want to see more films that are depicting a lot of the positive sojourn of our state, our time in America. Like somebody go back and do the Black Renaissance when we were in political office, and the story of Robert Church and Mary Church Terrell and all those Black millionaires that came up out of Memphis, Robert Church being the first Black millionaire, and then going back and getting some of those stories as well was a conversation I was a part of this weekend in the mountains. But I enjoyed seeing this adaptation of The Color Purple. I thought it was great. Yeah, I winced at some of it because some of our history is not as palatable, but the acting, the singing was on point. The stretching of some of the characters, some of the actors and actresses that we saw that we haven't seen in those roles, I thought it was great. There's always going to be talk about it. I think more talk has been around the actors coming out and saying they haven't been paid their worth, and quite possibly weren't paid their worth for that particular film, which is more troubling to me than anything because, Moneybags Mama. It
makes you wonder. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. That was that was the most troubling part to me.
Because it makes you wonder, is it that Oprah is Black and the expectation is that she should have done something differently for Black men?
That's
because
good.
I'm going to tell you right now, we have all watched Django Unchained, and I don't know how many people I heard talk about how Black men were portrayed in that movie. Roots. I mean, we all, they're negative portrayal. It's not necessarily the Black man being the abuser, but it's the way we're being abused as well, right? And a lot of these films
that's good,
that are
Dr.
produced
Dani.
by white producers and directors, you do not see the same type of flack that Oprah's getting for this film in particular.
Yeah, and
go ahead, Rondell. Go ahead.
No, sorry. Oprah made a statement last night, on the Golden Globes carpet about the budget. Tonya, to your point. And she said that, budgets came from Warner Brothers, right? She was hired as a producer, just like Taraji and Fantasia were hired as actresses.
Yeah.
So, like, the budget came from Warner Brothers, not Oprah Winfrey,
Right.
So, many people's point, like, Oprah is a billionaire. Why is Taraji complaining about her fee? Oprah said, just like Oprah had to negotiate her fee as producer, just like Taraji had to negotiate her fee as actress. So I don't think it's fair when people are looking at Oprah,
Right.
and saying she should
And that's
have
a valid point.
or given
Yeah.
more, when
Yeah.
Warner Brothers is the producer of the film in the studio who provided the money to fund this film.
Right.
And
And there
I
were
wanted
two other
to,
white men on this film,
yes.
executive producing and producing with her. So to your point, that is a valid point to take that off of Oprah and put it back on the people who were the house that this came out of, which was Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Didn't come
Yes.
out of OWN network or anywhere else.
Right.
That I feel like is a very politically charged conversation. I know people are tuning in. Brother Kenneth, we know you didn't watch the film. We're talking about the adaptation, but we're also getting into the conversation around Black masculinity and how it's represented in the book. I want to center us back on that. Tonya, I know you also have parent work that is calling you. So I want to get your perspective on this. Connecting this also to what we were just talking about with Oprah. I think that it highlights the double standard that we have, not just against Black people, but also against women. Because the men who were in power for the film were not held accountable like people are holding Oprah accountable to the equity in pay and the wage gaps between the women and the male actors and all of the other things that have been highlighted. It's always easy to have the Black woman to clean up things. So I wanted to just state that about what we were just talking about. Centering us back around the representation of Black men, I do want to go to a comment that Brandon B. Kyle Jordan made, and it says that people have such an issue, like Bootsy, like, some of the rappers that tuned in, and I took my kids and we walked out when we saw the kiss, but when the women were being abused and they were being raped, you sat there and you smiled and you enjoyed the representation. And so I do want to get into that because it's an issue in the Black community where for so long I can hear Bishop Carlton Pearson right now in my mind saying, don't you go down this road with the Black church, but I have to, because the Black church plays a major role in a lot of the themes that Alice Walker, for people who did not read the book, Alice Walker was doing an ode to Lorraine Hansberry and James Baldwin and those from that era that were highlighting the issues in the Black community that we like to sweep away, that we like to hide and don't talk about. And a lot of these things are themes that are reoccurring that do portray Black men as being the oppressors of our community. And I'm a Black man, but I have to be real that it shows up every day, even in 2024. So we'll start with Tonya, Brodell, then Dr. Dani. Just what are your thoughts about the representation of Black masculinity that have shown up throughout whichever adaptation from the book, the musicals on Broadway, the original film, the current film that you may want to highlight? But I definitely want to get your thoughts and the thoughts of those who are viewing this. What are your thoughts on the representation of Black masculinity with The Color Purple?
My thoughts are, go make something yourself that you can get your ducks together, the entertainers, rappers, folks with money, and put forth an image that you would like to see. I think LeBron James and some others have gotten into doing made-for-television movies and documentaries lately, putting forth a different narrative. But that is, to me, akin to the CRT movement and white people trying to obliterate the fact that slavery was a part of our history. You don't want to see the ugliness that is America. We don't want to see that part of our history, but it is a part of our history. And then what we have to ask ourselves, because I typed, go back and read the book, is that part of our history is what the white patriarchy or white men did to Black men, and then Black men in turn turned around and did to Black women and to their families. And it is toxic, but it is also a part of our history. I think the more prevalent answer is, why is it showing up so much still today in the Black community, and how do we fix that? Because it is a part of our history. It did come through as themes throughout the movie because that is what was happening then. But I think I have more of a problem with the fact that even in the comments about the movie, like you just said, didn't have as much problem with women being raped and um, beat into doing these traditional roles and work. We have more problems with the lesbian kiss, but we don't have problems with watching some of the things we watch on television or listening to the music. It's hypocrisy, and it's black male toxicity in a lot of the music and other cultural things that are very prevalent today. So if we're going to address it, we need to address it um, overall, not
I
just
love it.
in a film.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, to that point, I think when like celebrities and people who were commenting online and saying things, not defending anybody or anything, but I think when you kind of agree with like the themes, right? Like some men are okay with an older man being with a younger woman, right? So that happened in the film. So when that sits right with you, it's not offensive to you when you see it on camera, right? So that's why people could have glanced over that and been like, oh, okay, well, he slept with the younger girl, no big deal. I do that too, right? So that's why I think some men could have ignored that theme and been more offended by the girl on girl kiss. One, because they just think that could be immoral, right? Like, oh, that's not what we see. That's not what we do in media or on TV. And I don't want my children who may be sitting here to see that or to observe that. So, I mean, I think it is a serious thing that, where we can, like, in the movie, the father who was the stepfather, we came to learn, raped Celie, and she had two kids by her stepfather that he then, took away from her, and she didn't get them back until they were much older. But again, that's a theme that people can accept, I think, So, and again, when things resonate with you, you don't see it as offensive, So I think that's kind of where it was and why people glanced over some of those things, like, the rape and the underage marriage, because when the father, gave Celie to Mr., she was like 14, 15, and she had to come in there and clean and wash and take care of the kids. And she was underage girl. But like the father was okay giving his daughter to an older man, And again, some people may see that and not see anything wrong with it. They're like, oh, okay, well, a woman should be submissive. A woman should be taking care of the house, should be cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids, So again, when these themes resonate with you, it doesn't bother you.
You know what I find interesting? Thank you for sharing that, Rondell. I find it really interesting that this is a film in particular that has a very strong male presence. And we haven't talked about the stereotype of Black families that have families that don't have Black men in there. But in this film in particular, you have generations of men. You have Mr. with his father, with his son. And it's really interesting that as people are talking about the negative portrayal of Black men in this film in particular, what I admire is the presence of men in this film in particular, and their relationship. It might not be perfect, it might not be healthy, but it's the presence. And we always talk about these films that don't have a presence of Black men in there. So I want to focus on that a little bit, but also too, and really understanding Mr. wasn't necessarily a bad person, but he was misunderstood. Now I'm going to say this because, yes, with Celie, he was an abuser. With Suge, he was a lover. And we have to remember that even in that, look at how he was a father to Hoppo. Mm-hmm. And even though he was not ideal, gave him a hard time, again, he was teaching him to be a man. And the only way in which he was taught to be a man. Yeah. And so I think we have to really be clear on what our expectations are of Black men in films. There are different ways that we show up. There are different ways that Black women show up. And it's really important to be clear, like this film cannot be the catalyst for how we see all Black men. It can't be.
Thank you. That's good.
That's good. Love that, Dr. Dani.
We do that too often, that we make one thing for all. And we have to remember that this is the power of free will. And this is why I am just so in love with God, because God is so much more than meets the eye. God is so much more than what we've been taught to believe. And I'm harping on that because everyone's experience still connects to the same story. I say this often in conversations, the same script is different cast, and it looks different because it feels different because it's a different experience. I didn't have Suge's experience, but throughout the movie, I was like, I have been in some situations where I've been like, that was probably me in that moment with a lot of characters in the film. I think that a lot of times people want something to be in their way, and that's why we always say it's impossible to please everyone, because everyone is going to have a different perspective to how they see, how they feel, how they interpret something, but it still connects to the same baseline. I also want to highlight this. Towards the end of the film, it was a beautiful closing. I don't want to give away the scene, but I do want to highlight this. It actually kind of reminded me of Savannah for some reason. I don't know why. But when they were under the tree, I wanted to highlight this because Dr. Dani did a beautiful job of showing us that Black men were represented in various ways. Mm-hmm. There was a Black man who was sitting under the tree with his children as his wife was standing over this is what I took from it. It was almost as if she was admiring how he was being nurturing with the children. We don't see that either. We don't praise Black men as fathers, as nurturers, as men who are listening. So I feel like, yes, there were the main characters of Black men who we saw in very bold roles. A lot of times we did not like the things that we saw of them, but we also saw other Black men throughout the film who were representing various things, and I thought that there was beauty in that. And so sometimes we miss the things because we get caught up on one aspect.
Yeah. And the part of forgiveness. Yeah. What is the stereotype with Black men in these types of relationships where it's okay, it's too hard, I'm going to run, I'm not going to face my demons? You saw forgiveness throughout this entire movie.
Yeah.
Even at the very end.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't see that in the original, not in the same way.
Not in the same way, and not as in your face.
Right. Exactly. Now,
and not the empowering points to the people who had been devalued and disempowered and disemboweled. It was a very empowering ending. And I think for me, that was also, Dr. Dani, one of the stronger points. It left me going, okay, because the moments that I was like, oh, I can't. By the end, I was like, Now, I didn't expect that, right, to be in that way, and I left being able to feel good about it. I thought it was great directing and great acting and a great rearranging of the original one. And if anyone has not gone to see it, I urge you to treat yourself, and I think I will definitely see it again, because you miss some things the first time, but I loved it, and we can talk the next time. But baby, them pants.
Don't give the pants away.
Yeah, that was just that was the thing for me. That was like, okay.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
That's my son.
Okay. I was like, somebody else is joining us. Gang, come on in. Listen, I want to ask you guys this. I keep thinking about various versions of the Bible. This is what keeps coming to me, and how you have the women's version, you have the kids' version. Same story, it's just in different presentations. That's what I think about with The Color Purple. You have the book, which if people, I just thought about Bootsy. I'm like, baby, if you falling out about this peck in this movie, then when your daughters read the book, they're gonna have to usher you out of here, because the book is very much more detailed. It's different. It's real. And I love the various adaptations over time. That's why I wanted to say about how stories can be told in different ways, but the themes are still there and they still connect. What character would you choose from The Color Purple to, maybe create like, I know that Taraji mentioned this in an interview, creating like The Color Purple multiverse, and where it's different versions and other stories that derived. What character, what family, what part of The Color Purple would you take and maybe do an adaptation and make a story about?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to pick an unpopular one. I think Squeak, right, or Mary Agnes, right? You know, I think because her storyline in the original or in this one wasn't really developed, right? We didn't really get to see much about her. Well, her, the singer, played Squeak in this new version. That's no spoiler. But you know, I think her, like when she wanted to go to Memphis with Suge and she wanted to be a singer, you know, I think seeing what she evolves to, how she evolves, how she becomes into her own, grow her character, more character development. I think that could be like a spinoff, if you will, or an offshoot of the original. And I think it's a character most people probably wouldn't select to do like a spinoff of.
I love that. Dr. Dani.
I would have to say Nettie. I would love to know more about the adventures in Africa.
I knew it. Yes.
I want to know, like, if she fell in love. What was that like for her? Because, you know, comparing her to her sister, who really suffered the brunt of the abuse, but she got out because of her sister suffering. I want to know what that was like, because she was very progressive during that time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
and also
good.
Nettie has some abuse too, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she came to Mister's house because
Exactly.
her father touched her.
Yes.
You know? So she and her in some way also suffered molestation, harassment, abuse, sexual abuse on behalf of her own father, her stepfather at least.
Right. Yeah.
I like these ideas. So listen, we know that we got a good brother on who may be able to make these come to pass. So y'all drop some more ideas from the show. So like 5 years from now, we can get a highlight. Like, yeah, you know, I picked this up from the I Win Morning Show.
Who would you pick, Jason?
I was gonna say, Dr. Dani, I love that you picked Nettie. I think that would be beautiful to learn what happened in Africa. I love the character that her played. I would love to, you know, see more about that character. I would have to say Mister's father. From the original movie to the book, the brother. First of all, the brother was fly. I mean, the and this could have been something in the set, but every outfit, the glasses changed, and I was like, "Ooh, that's me." The glasses changed, and the fact that he always had something to write with. It reminded me of my great grandfather, but also that generation of men. It reminded me of the Black Renaissance man. I love that nuance. So I would love to hear more about his story throughout the musical, the book, the recent adaptation. He was highly intelligent. He was well dressed. So I would love to hear his story. He also reminded me a little bit of Olivia Pope's father. He was a critical thinker. He was like, okay, you have a problem. I'm telling you, this is, you know, what you need to do. It reminded me a little bit of my daddy, how he would say, listen, here's the blueprint and this is what you need to consider, but never force his ideas on me. And I love how I saw that relationship with him and Mister in the film. Like, okay, hey, I'm trying to give you sound advice, but you could go out and do it in your own way. But when you come back, I'll be ready to say, hey, why don't you try it a different way? I just love that about his character, and I would really go into a little bit more of his story and maybe a little bit of how he grew up and maybe took on some of those things that inspired him.
Yeah, I think that's a good one, because I think even in the film, like at the dinner table scene, right, when Celie confronts Mister like for the first time, and she says to old Mister, the father, that if you had taught him to be more of a man, you know, he wouldn't be like this, right? So she kind of, I guess accuses old Mister of having Mister be how he is, or Albert, you know, and also, for those who didn't see the Broadway show, that role is in this current film. It was Lou Gossett Jr., we know Academy Award winner, but in the Broadway show, it was Lou Myers who played Mr. Gaines from A Different World.
Yes.
So he played old Mister in the Broadway film, nice. And then Lou Gossett Jr. was old Mister in this new one. You know, so yeah.
Shout out to both of them too. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So listen.
Yes.
We are at the end of our time, but I have to ask this. This is what we're talking about film, the impact of art, all of this. Go ahead, Dr. Dani.
Before you go to your closing question, we have to have a closing fact.
All right, go ahead.
Closing fact is, congratulations to The Color Purple, because they made the largest amount of money, which was $18 million for Christmas Day, which has been noted to be the largest amount of money since 2009 for a film, totaling for the 2 days that they showed the film, $25 million. Congratulations.
Wow. And y'all know we got to bring y'all some data points and facts in every episode. Dr. Dani, thank you for that.
Yes.
And it also speaks to, major shout out to Kwanzaa, and that is called, that's the economic piece, y'all. Like, we came together to support something, which is phenomenal. We do this with films often, but how do we do this in our everyday communities to support local artists, to support nonprofits, to support schools, to support small business owners? We have to show up in that same way. Major shout out to Keith Lee, who is helping to bring some shine and light to entrepreneurs locally in the food area. But we can also do that for teachers and theater and all of that as well. So thank you, Dr. Dani, for that data. And I'm curious, y'all, what are some films that we should be looking out for this year? Musicals we should be connecting to, because I think that we still have to get immersed in the arts. Please know that the arts is something that has been actively been removed from our public schools because they are defunding arts programs. So what are some things that we can connect to collectively to get people to continue these conversations?
As far as,
I'm gonna go with brother. I was hoping that our producer was gonna tell us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I just say, stay connected at least. Like me, I follow just a lot of the blogs, a lot of the industry trades, a lot of the, sites. I would say, like, I have a whole folder of things that I take a look at, like the Hollywood Reporter, Deadline TV, Variety, some sites that I check every day just to kind of see what's going on and stay current for TV news, film news, all kinds of news. So, and then you also get to see a lot of previews of behind the scenes and, a lot of things that are to come. So for me, and I don't know like all the films that are coming out this year, but I say stay close to the trades. You can follow them, whether it be through Twitter or Instagram. I'm not on TikTok, but maybe some of these outlets have TikTok pages too.
Yeah.
But again, Hollywood Reporter is a great one. Deadline TV is a great one. And I also work in advertising, so I check out Ad Age and Ad Week. And that just kind of gives you just what's going on holistically between all of the media landscape.
I love that. Now, listen, guys, this has been a phenomenal. We had so much more we could have talked about with this conversation, but I'm glad that we did choose this angle with The Color Purple. Dr. Dani, I know Tonya is still on, but she had a parent that was in crisis that needed her. So she's still backstage and can hear us. So I'm going to put this out for the audience. One of my very favorite organizers, Bayard Rustin, has a film on Netflix. I would love to have Brother Rondell back on in February, maybe to talk about that film. Dr. Dani and Tonya, I know she's giving me the thumbs up because the film is phenomenal, but some aspects that I think you could definitely lend your voice to and really engage our audience in a really amazing conversation about that film, which is on Netflix. Hopefully will spark other films and stories to be told as well. So the art of storytelling, y'all, embrace other people's stories. Everyone's story perspective is not going to be like yours. Dr. Dani, Brother Rondell, final thoughts before we close out.
I say let's continue to support the arts, but let's support our Black men who are working behind the scenes too.
Yes.
Because just like Black male educators, we don't see enough of y'all.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah. And I'd be happy to come back to talk about, the Rustin film. And I think people may know, but it's the same lead from Color Purple, Coleman Domingo, who plays Mr. in The New Color Purple. He also plays in the Rustin film as well. He's the lead there. So he has two films actually concurrently.
Nice.
But yes, to your point, Jason, just continuing to support Black film, Black theater, Black television, right? Just be a consumer of it. If we watch, we up the numbers. which numbers help the advertising dollars, and the more viewers they get, the more they can charge and for advertising. So just us clicking on something and watching and getting clicks up will help these things be financially successful as well. So just give our support, watch, comment, even if you talk about it on your social media, that encourages people to go watch it or go check it out if they haven't seen it, because they're curious. So talking about it online, watching, clicking, all those things will help these Black-owned, productions, be more successful, and they can do more of them because we watch.
Yes, most definitely. Hey, everybody, listen, make sure you subscribe to the Educational Entities YouTube channel for more of the I Win Morning Show. This was a really, really good conversation, and I cannot wait until February when we talk about our next film, which is going to be super dope. Listen, guys, you can also leave comments and let us know, are there other films that we need to be aware of and we can consider in our rotation? But this has been the I Win Morning Show. Welcome to 2024. We kicked it off in a major way. Color Purple. Thank you, Brother Rondell, for being on. It was phenomenal. Everybody have a great week. And if you did not see the film, please go check it out and make sure y'all stay connected. Watch Rustin before the second week in February, because it's Black History Month and we're going to get into it. Have a great day, everybody. Peace and love. We win.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. I hear Tonya in the back talking about Happy Monday.